Hello from gardening at Douentza here in Ireland, and spring is well underway. It's a beautiful sunny day today, but I have absolutely no idea how long this is going to last, so I'm going to get quickly on with this video. And today what I'm going to do is lift and divide a geranium that's in the garden and plant it somewhere else. So come on, let's do it before the rain comes. So what we find very often when we come along in spring is that perennials now look a lot bigger than we ever remember them doing last year, like this beautiful geranium here. And it's a great opportunity to divide it and plant it somewhere else in the border. And we can see here that the geranium is really quite a large clump. And if we just pan over here, we can see a bare patch. And this is a place where I removed a shrub earlier on this year. So it'll make a great spot for putting a piece of that geranium. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to dig up this clump, and I'll do so by putting the fork into the ground and just kind of loosening it a bit. And this job is done all the way around the clump. This side. Now I need to be careful not to go too close to the roots because I want to damage them as little as possible. And luckily, because this is a perennial, it's a plant that doesn't root too deeply, so it shouldn't be a big deal to get this out. And of course this process isn't particular for geraniums. You can do this same procedure in spring or in autumn with a vast majority of garden perennials. Now, as you can see, this thing is beginning to loosen, which is great. And very soon, I'm going to find that I can lift it up. Here she comes. Just loosen a little bit at the front now. And there we go again. And the great thing about doing this job, there it is, up it comes. The great thing about doing this job in spring is that the plant won't even know it's been moved. Okay, I'm going to now drag it onto the grass. Oh, it's not even not even heavy. There we go. What a beauty. Super. Okay, let's put this down the ground. There we go. So let's just have a little look at what we have here. And as you can see, we have lots of rhizomes, and we have roots, and we have earth underneath, and we have lots of top growth. And now what you can actually do is just kind of feel with your hands and break pieces off, because with geraniums in general, if you have a piece like this which has a rhizome and a growth and you plant that, then it is going to grow for you and it's going to do really well. But if you were to divide off something as small as this, you'd be better off putting it in a pot and just minding for it for a bit until it gets going before putting it in the ground. So that is one way of approaching this. And just turn over here. Now, I don't actually want a lot of baby plants. What I want is 2 decent clumps that are going to go on and do great things for me this year. And I think what I'm going to do is just slice the clump down the middle And I'll just divide it here, divide the rhizomes here, because I don't really want to slice through rhizomes. And here you can see we have a natural division in the plant. There is a piece that can be put in a pot and will go on to make a new plant. But for my 2 clumps, I'm going to divide it there. So I'll just go and get the spade, and then just placing the spade down the middle, I'm going to slice. Are we ready now? There. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so as you can see, with the division, I've ended up with various, I guess you might call them cutting materials. So these are rhizomes with top growth that can be potted. Didn't want so many of those, but I have a number of them. And what I have also is a couple of larger pieces. Now let's just see how this wants to divide. So this piece here is very big with a big root ball, and that is going to go back in the ground. And then what we have here is a more damaged piece, but we do have a large chunk here which has top growth, and it has roots, and it has attached rhizomes, and that is going to go in the new place that we will dig. And for good measure, I have a couple of more cuttings. So I said I didn't want a whole lot of little baby plants in pots, but it looks like I'm going to get them. So now I'm just going to excavate the hole that we took the geranium out of originally, and we're going to pop this division back in here. And I'm putting the smaller one in here because, as you can see, it's actually under the shade of a bush, so it doesn't have as much space as it might have. So I'm going to put the other piece in the open ground where it has more space, and then we just backfill, removing stones, and then just stamp on it a little bit just to settle it down in position, moving in a bit more soil, and there we go. And here is where I'm going to put the other piece of the geranium. And you can see here I don't need a very deep hole because the roots are quite shallow, and this is going to accommodate my root ball rather well. So here's my geranium, and then unceremoniously backfill with soil. And then just firm it in place. Okay, well, it seems I've ended up with more plant material than I intended to, and I'm going to be putting some of these in pots. But for the bigger clumps like this, I think I'm going to chance just planting that in the ground somewhere else. I think it's sturdy enough to do well that it's been planted at this early stage. And these other ones, well, I'll grow them on and give them to my friends and all that kind of thing. Okay, let's water in those clumps. And here we go. Just make sure that those plants get a really, really good drench. You might think they don't need it at this time of year because there's so much rain anyway, but you need to make sure that they're really, really well firm in the ground, and watering well is going to make sure there are no air pockets or anything else to stop these plants from settling in well and going on to give us their best and to flower magnificently in the summer. Okay, so it's great to have that job done and to know that these geraniums are going to go on and do so well in the garden. A wonderful, wonderful plant that we could never have too much of. And that brings me to the end of this very quick video about lifting, dividing and replanting geraniums. And do remember, if ever in doubt about what to plant in your garden, there is the age-old adage that says, if in doubt, plant a geranium, because they are just such wonderful, wonderful plants. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video and happy gardening. Bye.